In this world, there are many species, including goblins, werewolves, dragons, and even vampires. The anime begins with a young vampire boy named Staz from the demon world. Staz is different from his race. Unlike his elders, he does not profess to feed on human flesh. Instead, he is in love with human innovations, specifically Japanese games, anime, and manga. He wishes to visit the human world someday, but visiting it from the demon world is quite expensive. Staz's subordinate, Dek, informs him about the presence of a human girl in the streets, and he orders Dek to bring the girl to him. The demon world is divided into several territories led by powerful demons, and Staz is the leader of this territory. Staz excitedly orders to produce a human girl before him. He is overwhelmed to meet a human, particularly a girl, and his heartbeat rises relentlessly. The girl is very scared by the demons around her, and soon she is brought before Staz. He can't believe his eyes. The girl is very beautiful. Staz feels sucked in her deep eyes, and he can't hold himself from confessing her cuteness. He is so overwhelmed by her presence and enthusiastically asks her about anime, manga, and games. Their interaction is interrupted by a call. Dek informs him about a territory crusher and requests Staz to leave everything and rescue his territory. It's an attempt to trespass into his territory. In the demon world, whoever defeats the boss of a territory can rule over it. Staz reluctantly makes excuses to stay with the girl, but eventually he has to leave to maintain his territory. Staz enters the streets with a bang. The vampire boy has arrived to retain his territory. Meanwhile, a carnivorous plant sneaks into his room in his absence. The territory crusher appears to be a deadly demon. Dek also warns Staz to be vigilant. Staz walks through his attacks unhurt, and his one solid punch gets the better of his opponent. Despite being a vampire, Staz has the ability to walk into the sunlight, and he can smash the heart of his enemy in his fist. By defeating the territory crusher, Staz has saved his throne. When Staz returns to his place, he finds that Fuyumi has already fallen victim to a carnivorous plant. Staz slices through the plant to save her, but he only manages to retrieve the skull and clothes. Embarrassed, Fuyumi hides her naked body and pleads for clothes to cover herself. However, all Staz can provide is a shirt and boxer. Fuyumi does not look comfortable and feels skimpy in such a short dress, but she will have to wait until her clothes are soaked. Staz is confused. He no longer feels attracted to her. It turns out that Fuyumi has transformed into a ghost, which is why Staz lost the earlier attraction he had for her flesh. Devastated by her death, Staz is determined to bring her back to life and send her home safely. Though Staz has committed to her resurrection, he does not have any clue about human resurrection. Fuyumi is not confident about Staz's commitment, but she does not have any other choice but to believe in him. She takes Staz to the place which brought her in. Staz cannot believe that he is witnessing a black curtain, a highly sophisticated form of magic used by spellcasters to travel between the human and demon world. It does not appear often in the demon world either. He wonders why this black curtain is still open. Staz decides to seize the opportunity to travel to the human world with Fuyumi. But first, Fuyumi must get tested. He takes her to the nearby Mamjiro's cafe. She evaluates that Fuyumi can travel to the human world, but she is unstable to stay in the human world for long. Meanwhile, Dek brings Yoshida, who aspires to join Staz. Yoshida has the ability to take any shape, which solves Staz's problem. Yoshida can take his shape until Fuyumi's return from the human world. Eventually, Yoshida is tasked with acting as Staz until he returns, and they both leave for the human world. Staz walks into Fuyumi's room, the place where she entered the demon world. He is disappointed by its jail-like outlook. Fuyumi is not amused by his remarks. She prefers good housekeeping and spends most of her time at school or studying. Therefore, she keeps her room clean to avoid any distractions. Staz accompanies Fuyumi to school. Fuyumi fears that others might find out that Staz is a demon. She tries to stop him, but Staz is adamant about going with her. In the drawing room, her father, Mr. Yanagi, questions about the boy Staz. Mr. Yanagi grinds his teeth in anger and scolds Fuyumi for not showing up to school yesterday. To help Fuyumi avoid further questions, Staz uses a spray secreted from his fangs that can alter human moods. The spray proves very effective, and Mr. Yanagi's anger instantly disappears. It's his first time experiencing the sun in the human world. The intensity of the heat here has a stronger impact than in the demon world, and it's pretty uncomfortable for him. But this does not decrease his excitement for the human world. He has dreamed of being in Japan all his life. People stare at Staz for his evident excitement. The roads, traffic lights, and vehicles, everything in this world fascinates him. Fuyumi is back to her normal life. Saku, her friend, asks her about her absence yesterday. However, another classmate, Mayu, is convinced that Fuyumi was in class. Their argument raises questions for Fuyumi, like whether her impersonator was present in school yesterday. Ever since she set foot in the demon world, everything seems to worsen for her. Fuyumi helplessly cries and blames Staz for everything. Staz snubs her for acting naive and pleads with her to stay calm. But Fuyumi is further frightened when her body begins disappearing. Staz knows it's happening because unstable and weak demons cannot stay in the human world for long. Staz offers his blood, which will help Fuyumi sustain energy for a while and resist her body from disappearing. Fuyumi hesitatingly sucks his thumb and regains energy. Her vanished body normalizes. Fuyumi feels dizzy and her body temperature instantly rises, yet she finds Staz's blood oddly satisfying. Staz is determined to bring her back to life. Staying in the human world drains magic, and Staz is low on magic now. He decides to head back to the demon world to regain energy. He cannot save Fuyumi or claim his long-desired territory of the Cyber City in such a weak state. Staz asks about Fuyumi's mother, but she doesn't know anything about her. She never saw her since she was old enough to understand things. In Fuyumi's room, they find a girl and simultaneously ask, "Who are you?" She introduces herself as Hydra Bell, the owner of the black curtain they used to travel. Hydra Bell has the power to travel through spaces and search for treasures. Staz fears that Bell scripted this whole mess just to trap him in the human world, and ultimately snatch his territory. However, Bell does not bother with any of his accusations. Conversely, Bell herself is looking for the person who stole her curtain. She blackmails Staz to pay her 60 million yen for using her curtain, or else she will inform the authorities that Staz left his territory and entered the human world. Bell uses her frame and teleports Staz before he can complete his question. Angry over her blackmailing, he tries to smash her, but Bell dodges his strikes every time. Bell then points a gun at Fuyumi, compelling Staz to obey her orders. She asks him to bring a specific item, and she would let Staz get back to the demon world. With no other option left, Staz adheres to her instructions and begins the search for that specific item. Bell attempts to budge the curtain but fails. Only the person who stole the curtain can move it now. She believes that the one who stole her curtain must be very strong, and she wishes to marry such a strong demon. The specific item they need is an exclusive panty held at the Uniqlo store. Staz fights the owner to win the panty, and with one precise blow, he throws the owner yards back. Petrified by Staz's power, the owner instantly gives him the panty. It turns out that Bell was never interested in the panty. She staged this fight to test Staz and determine if he is the powerful demon who stole her black curtain. While Staz was busy searching for the specific panty, Bell and Fuyumi developed a good understanding, and they have become good friends now. Bell informs them about the Book of Human Resurrection, which can help Staz and Fuyumi's resurrection. However, she tells that she sold it in the west of the demon world, which is now the territory of Wolf, Staz's old friend and current rival. They decide to return to the demon land and begin their search for the specific book. Wolf is a ruthless ruler, continuously defeating bosses and expanding his territories in the west. In Uniqlo, Bell admires Fuyumi's sense of dressing, completely disregarding Staz's stories about Wolf, his old friend. Bell declines to help Staz in reaching out to Wolf. He attempts to force her, but in an embarrassing battle with Bell, he ends up injuring himself and even punches himself. In the demon world, Mamejiro is very pleased with Staz's absence and hopes that things will remain that way. However, Staz suddenly appears out of nowhere and smashes the slandering Mamejiro into a window. Bell becomes suspicious about Staz, believing that he is hiding some serious magic. Staz plans to leave for Wolf's territory, and Mamejiro tries to escape the trip. However, Staz insists on bringing her along since her third eye will help him identify the upcoming challenges. Deck has called the fastest feet in the demon world for their travel to the west, but there is a challenge in the journey. They will have to cross 3 different territories unnoticed in order to reach Wolf's territory unharmed. Wolf, along with Toby and Keiji, heads for a journey. His subordinates are tired, but Wolf forces them to continue walking. Mamejiro's eagle eye can see Wolf and his men in the middle of the road, and shouts to stop the carriage. Wolf and his men also sense a lightning-fast carriage approaching them. If the carriage doesn't stop, it may run them over. With little time to react, Wolf jumps over the cart and splits it in half with a single swing of his sword. Fortunately, Staz and his friends remain unharmed in the attack. Everyone expected a fight between 2 fierce bosses, but shocking those around them, Wolf and Staz greet each other like old friends. Staz asks for the Book of Resurrection, but Wolf denies any help. Finding a single book in his vast territory is not an easy task. Wolf controls most of the western territories and doesn't want to assist without receiving some favor in return. They decide to settle the matter in the old-fashioned way, through a competition. Staz suggests that if he wins, he will get the book, but if Wolf wins, he will get Fuyumi. Mamejiro and Fuyumi are shocked to know that Staz has put Fuyumi at risk for a bowling match. However, Staz is confident in his ability to win. Bewildering everyone, the battle is changed from bowling to boxing. Both contestants enter the ring with the common aim of winning. Staz is determined to bring Fuyumi back to life, and he pledges that he will not let Wolf win under any circumstances. Fuyumi serves as the ring girl for this match, wearing a dress that exposing every curve of her body. Wolf can't control himself, falling for her beauty, and makes a pledge to give his all for Fuyumi. Round 1 begins, and Staz clinches with Wolf in the very beginning. However, this doesn't stop Wolf. He lands swift and precise blows, throwing Staz to the floor. As the count reaches 10, everyone, including Bell, believes that Staz is defeated. But to their surprise, he gets up and continues to fight, determined to survive. Hydra Bell is keenly watching the battle. This looks like a one-sided fight, with Wolf's punches leaving Staz no time to recover. Although Staz possesses natural healing abilities, but Wolf's movements are incredibly fast, not allowing Staz to heal properly. However, as the match progresses, Staz manages to dodge or survive deadly attacks, while Wolf begins to exhaust with sweat pouring out of his body vehemently. In a clever move, Staz had placed a vampire tooth in Wolf's neck, causing every hit from Wolf to drain his own magic. Now that Wolf is exhausted and Staz remains undamaged, it's time for Staz to strike back. With a single backhand jab, he sends Wolf crashing to the ground. The fight begins to intensify, and Staz warns that if Wolf gets up to fight back, he will kill him. Burning with anger, Wolf has transformed into his deadliest mutation, and accuses Staz of being selfish and hypocritical. These words torment Staz. He wants to smash Wolf's heart. However, Fuyumi intervenes, jumping into the fight. She slaps Staz and scolds both friends to control their anger. Bell teleports them both and calls off the match. The crowd wanted the match to continue, and they are disappointed with Bell for ending it at such an intense moment. In their disappointment, the crowd begins to throw whatever objects they have in their hands. Bell has double-crossed them both. She told Staz that Wolf had the book, and on the other hand convinced Wolf that Staz wants to cheat on him, so he should convert the bowling match into a boxing match. When Hydra Bell reveals that she had been carrying the book all along, it infuriates both Staz and Wolf. She takes the book out, and they swiftly snatch the book from her, but it is beyond their understanding. None of them can read what is inside the book. The book is filled with coded symbols. Mamejiro thinks that only the author can read what's inside it. They decide to look for the author, but shockingly the author is Staz's elder brother, Braz D. Blood. He lives in the Acropolis, a place where only the strongest demons are allowed to reside. They all think it'll be easier for Staz to find the resurrection procedure and motivate him to visit the Acropolis and look for his brother, but Staz shivers in fear. The Acropolis is the place where only demon kings, rulers, and lawmakers of the demon world reside. They are the royalty who watch the demon world. An ordinary demon can't enter the Acropolis, but Staz is a vampire descendant, belonging to a noble bloodline. Therefore, he can visit the Acropolis, although he does not possess the return ticket, and he may need Bell's special magic to enter the Acropolis. However, Staz is afraid of facing his brother after abandoning himself. Furious with Staz's one after another pretext, the wolf loses his temper and grabs Staz by the collar, coercing him to visit the Acropolis, where Bell will assist him in his safe passage. Bell thanks Wolf for throwing Staz straight into her room. Toby and Keiji bring clothes for Wolf and Fuyumi. She looks really pretty in the clothes, however, Wolf looks like a total dork. Staz is relaxed after a hot bath. He thanks Bell for letting him use her bathroom and enjoys a cold drink. Wolf was also abandoned from the Acropolis because he is not a pure blood. He is a mongrel, a mix of demon and werewolf. That's why the wolf has been trying to conquer all the territories to earn his place in the Acropolis. Fuyumi applauds the wolf's efforts. In the room, Bell tries to seduce Staz. She enters in a short revealing dress, waving her body to tempt Staz. However, he is least interested in her. Coming straight to the point, Staz inquires Bell, what does she want? Bell explains how she was suspicious of him and felt a suppressed power inside Staz's chest. She is curious to explore his powers. Pushing her opais against his arms, she asks him to show his true potential. Staz jumps to the other corner of the room and asks Bell to come straight to the point. Bell bursts into laughter. She sheds light on his unnatural and irregular magic flow, as if something is leaking from a container. Staz dozes off, lost in childhood memories when Braz performed cruel experiments on him, from exposing him to deadly leeches to keeping him in the bone-chilling environment. He tells her how his brother Braz manipulated him in the name of experiments, attempting to kill him. However, Staz somehow always managed to survive. Until one day, Braz fired a bullet into Staz's chest, locking away his powers. Now, only Braz has the keys to his powers. The tense environment is eased when Belle pulls out her smartphone to order food. Amazed by the technology, Staz is all over her phone. Belle can now easily conclude that it wasn't Staz who stole her black curtain. He wouldn't be able to handle such sophisticated magic with his suppressing powers. However, Belle is a treasure hunter, and now she is curious about what's hidden in his chest. Belle challenges Staz to a fight in her grid room. Stuck in the grid room with no way to exit, Staz gives up the fight. She mocks Staz for being weak. Tormented by the humiliation, Staz challenges her to beat him once he unlocks his full potential. Belle has been successful in manipulating Staz. She has convinced him to find the key to his locked power. Later, Belle takes him for a delicious sushi dinner. Belle can't resist adoring Staz. She doesn't understand what made her fall for a man weaker than herself. On the flip side, Fuyumi has been acting dozed off. Mamejiro believes she is too tired, and Wolf carries her to the room. But suddenly, her body begins to disappear. Hydra leaves Staz near the entrance of the Acropolis. She decides to create a situation where Staz will have to remove the bullet anyway. Staz crawls past the bushes, trying to stay unnoticed, but his younger sister finds him. She stops him with a deadly swing of her axe and tells him, "You are not welcome here." She asks him to leave the Acropolis. Alarmed by Fuyumi's disappearing legs, Wolf carries her to Frankenstein, who is specialized in demon physiology. Staz's sister, Liz D. Blood, is furious at him. She vehemently attacks Staz, and he dodges her deadly strikes to save his life. Her swings are ferocious, ready to shred him into pieces. She is the warden of Lizard's toy box, the biggest and deadliest prison in the demon world. She imprisons Staz to pass judgment on him. However, he can escape by challenging the zombies and winning against them. Staz fights for his freedom, but the zombies are unfazed. They are relentless, and Staz sustains multiple injuries in his failed attempts. Frankenstein carefully examines Fuyumi, and his opinion shocks Wolf. Normally, demons carry a single kind of magic compatible with their race, but Frankenstein believes Fuyumi is a combination of vampire and ghost. She carries the magic of two different races, and if she can seize control over her vampire magic, she becomes a potential rival for vampires. Braz approaches his younger sister while she enjoys cocoa and asks about the reason for incarcerating Staz without his authorization. Staz attempts to fight the zombies but fails multiple times, and the zombies complain to Liz about Staz's stubbornness. If Frankenstein's assumptions are true, Fuyumi could be the birth of a new hybrid demon. She could be the future of the demon world. However, it is essential to continuously provide Staz's blood. Wolf doesn't like the idea, because it could lead to Staz's death if all his blood is sucked up by Fuyumi. Braz finds his brother beaten up by the zombies in the Challenger's ground. He shoots Staz right in the chest, but surprisingly, Staz regains his energy from the bullets. Instead of wasting his time on sibling gimmicks, Staz directly questions the process of human resurrection. Belle shows up for her friend Fuyumi and reveals that Frankenstein is her regular customer who is hiding the complete truth. There is another way to cure Fuyumi by removing the vampire magic from her body. Wolf hates being lied to, so he punches Frankenstein to the floor and asks to spit out the alternate methods. Staz's return and the bond between the brothers does not please Liz. She has always resented Staz for being neglected. Her elder brother has always preferred Staz over her, even when he abandoned himself. She feels that she could not get the attention she deserved. Liz burns down the zombies to claim herself as stronger than Staz and refuses to accept him as a noble demon. Liz is furious with Braz for defending Staz, and she attacks Staz in anger. Braz agrees to help Staz with human resurrection, but he asks for a favor in return. He will assist Staz if Staz can eliminate the artificial demon running havoc in the North Demon world. Its existence poses a potential threat to the demon world. Frankenstein also agrees to cure Fuyumi, but Wolf has to address Frankenstein's mistake. Wolf must defeat the artificial demon Akim Papradon, which Frankenstein created by implementing his ancestors' practices. However, Akim went rogue and is now the greatest masterpiece Frankenstein ever produced, very strong and very lethal. Wolf decides to hunt Akim, but he has limited time. He must defeat Akim within half a day before the concentrated magic portion runs out, which is vital for Fuyumi's survival. Interestingly, both friends are targeting the same enemy but with different goals altogether. Braz tries to clear up the misconceptions regarding why he shot a bullet into Staz's chest. It wasn't to kill Staz but to save him instead. Braz shows Staz a reflection of his power, a 5-meter long rock that Staz had converted into a tiny ball during his childhood. Ever since his childhood, Staz had extraordinary powers, but he had no control over them. Staz fainted badly whenever he used his full potential. Braz feared that if this continued, he might lose his brother. It was Braz's fault that his experiments had unleashed Staz's full powers at such a young age, so he had to put a limit on Staz's power. Now the time has come for Staz to unleash his true potential. However, Staz plainly rejects the offer. He is comfortable with his limited abilities, and he is only concerned with the human resurrection. His rejection did not please Braz. He orders Liz to bring out the zombies. Braz orders them to kill his brother, and the zombies pounce on Staz. He has been put through a challenge. If Staz wants to survive against the zombies, he has to unleash his full potential. Meanwhile, the boss of the North Territory thinks Wolf is the territory crusher and attacks him to maintain his region. The huge pig puts all its strength into the attack, but Wolf proves to be stronger. With a wild swing of his rod, the wolf sends the pig smashing into the wall. Suddenly, the pig's body begins to decompose, and the artificial demon Akim pops out of it.
Yeah.
With no other option to survive, Braz instantly removes the bullet from Staz. Staz falls to the ground as if he has lost his life, but then his heart begins to beat freely. He unleashes his full potential, and at the peak of his powers, he transforms zombies into skeletons in a matter of seconds. Staz is free to go as a noble demon on his absolute peak of his powers. However, he has to fulfill a favor for Braz before proceeding with human resurrection. Braz wishes to test Staz's powers, and Akim is the perfect opponent for him. Staz heads to the North Demon World in searching for the deadly artificial demon. Akim is very strong, and he has magic powers like Bell, allowing him to create spaces and launch attacks. Nevertheless, Wolf is resilient to beat him. Wolf interprets Akim's attacks, and in return he breaks Akim's arm, but it's futile. Akim is different. He doesn't rely on bones or muscles, but rather uses his magic to fight. Wolf charges forward with incredible speed. His avatar begins to transform, as his teeth elongating into fangs, his limbs grow bulkier, and his ears point upwards. He has tapped into his true form, the ferocious and monstrous wolf. He goes all out against Akim with his razor-sharp claws, aiming to shred through his defenses. Meanwhile, Belle appears at the hospital for a private conversation with Frankenstein. She is aware that Frankenstein wants Wolf to lose against Akim, so that he can use Fuyumi for his own benefit. Bell instructs him to reveal everything. Wolf's claws are aimed to tear Akim's body into pieces, and soon Akim's neck is sent flying in the air. Wolf continues his brutal attacks, tearing apart Akim's body with his claws. Wolf thinks he has won against Akim, but it's just the beginning of a long, draining fight. Akim is a phantom who can reconstruct his body using special magic. Bell creates a space window to cheer for Wolf. The fight is momentarily interrupted when Staz crashes himself into the building. Ignoring Akim's presence, Staz and Wolf engage in a heated argument. They begin attacking together, but soon Wolf leaves because he has drained his magic. He can't risk his life fighting such a strong opponent with low magic. It's now Staz versus Akim. Staz blasts Akim into a space where he can easily fight him. Belle closely observes Staz's significant increase in power. She believes that Staz has unlocked his true potential, as promised. Staz proves to be a formidable opponent for Akim. His powerful magic blows have shattered Akim's defense. Staz unleashes his ultimate power and advances toward Akim. He is transformed into a very strong demon, but he realizes that he has been imposing his father during this fight, and it has not been helpful to defeat Akim. He decides to fight in his own unconventional manner. Braz has been closely watching the battle, delighted by his brother's strength. He and Liz follow the fight closely to see how their brother performs against a worthy opponent like Akim. In the hospital, Belle immediately closes the window as the intensity of Staz's power can blow them away as well. Staz shreds through Akim's body in no time, ending up with Akim's neck in his hand. However, Staz is not finished. He wants vengeance on his own terms. Staz allows Akim to reconstruct once again, then closes his fingers around Akim's heart. Braz was right about his brother's powers, and he decides to manipulate Staz into helping him. Wolf briefs Staz about Fuyumi's depleting health, warning that she may disappear quickly if they don't find a solution. However, before helping Fuyumi, Wolf wants to settle his score with Staz. Interestingly, Belle saved Akim at the last moment and brought him back to Frankenstein, who was shredded into pieces. She hands him over to Frankenstein, and in return, asks for the person who provided him with Akim's body. Frankenstein does not know the person. Despite his efforts, his research had reached a dead end. He couldn't find a sustainable body for Akim until one night when he received a box containing the body of a special magician left at his doorstep, which he used for Akim. So, Akim is most likely the thief who stole her black curtain.
これはこれは。
Liz takes Akim and Frankenstein into her custody for disrupting the peace. Ever since Staz fell from the Acropolis, Wolf lost his fight against Staz. Wolf always had insecurities with his friend and wanted to dominate Staz, but even the young and weak Staz had to pity Wolf. Wolf departs with the intention to beat the vampire boy someday in his life and claim his dominance. In the hospital, Mamejiro and Fuyumi anxiously wait for Wolf to return and bring them the solution. Surprisingly, Staz enters the hospital with Braz and introduces himself to Fuyumi. Braz begins to get closer to Fuyumi, but Staz holds his hand and warns him not to do anything fishy. Staz tells Braz that if he doesn't help him, he will continue to provide Fuyumi with his blood until he finds the resurrection process. Staz offers his blood to stabilize Fuyumi, but she hesitates to suck his thumb in front of everyone. She pleads with him to do this in a corner, but Staz puts his thumb in her mouth. Once she tastes the blood, she can't turn back. Braz disapproves of this practice as it can lead to potential complications. They return to the East Demon World, the place where Fuyumi died. Braz wants to inspect her original body. Meanwhile, Liz and Braz are served delicious food in the cafe. Belle becomes intrigued by Braz's remarks about Fuyumi and wonders why she is important to her. However, she warns herself to be watchful. If Braz told her anything, she should expect an underlying catch. Belle hands Staz a bell for Fuyumi and departs, telling Fuyumi to ring the bell 3 times if she ever needs her. Braz uses gun-like equipment to extract a sample of Fuyumi's magic, but it requires Fuyumi to be stripped down. Staz is frustrated with this awkward demand, and he does not trust his brother. Resurrection happens by converting magic into souls and placing it into a body. Awkwardly, the sample has to be extracted from between the opis. At that very moment, Fuyumi regains consciousness, but before she could process anything, Staz lifts her shirt, leaving Fuyumi's chest bare naked. Braz quickly extracts the sample and hurries for testing. He intends to use his brother's magic present in Fuyumi's sample. Meanwhile, Liz stays with Staz until he returns. Fuyumi joins the cafe and prepares delicious food from the human world, which Liz thoroughly enjoys. Braz provided Liz with a return ticket to the Acropolis and ordered her to stay with Staz, keeping an eye on him and not returning until he permits her to do so, in order to avoid any interference in his work. She is gutted that her elder brother never finds her helpful. Staz tries to make sure his younger sister enjoys her stay by providing her with manga, anime, and games. Liz watches the anime continuously for hours. Fuyumi initially believes she misunderstood Staz, but now she finds him to be a nice human being and a good brother. She thanks Staz for keeping his word and doing whatever he can to bring her back to life. Staz gives her the bell gifted by Hydra Bell. Liz hesitates to step into the bath naked with Fuyumi as she has never bathed with someone before. However, the experience hasn't been bad at all. She closes her eyes while Fuyumi rinses her hair. Liz is very young and usually gets soap in her eyes, but Fuyumi helps her avoid it this time. She has been alone her whole life, so Fuyumi's company feels like a cool breeze just for her. In the morning, she finds a message beside her bed. She rushes to inform Staz, but she rules out the idea that Fuyumi left them, as she has very sharp senses, yet she neither heard her leave nor the sound of the door opening. He orders his subordinates to begin searching for her immediately. Liz reveals that Braz has put a tracking device inside Fuyumi and sent her to keep an eye on them. Staz feels that his brother may have abducted her, so he offers Liz everything he possesses in return for finding Fuyumi's trace. Liz uses the ticket and heads back to Acropolis in search of her friend Fuyumi. Deck and Mamejiro find a clue, and it is reported that a stranger was seen having breakfast in the street and has left to the south since Fuyumi's abduction. Liz is interrogated by the guards at the entrance who ask her about her purpose for exiting the Acropolis initially. Inspector Burroughs handles the matter and escorts Liz to the mansion. Burroughs is after her brother for multiple violations of entrance and exit policies, but he always manages to dodge her. She aims to capture him and present him before the king of the Acropolis, the Wolf Daddy. Liz does not recognize Wolf Daddy as the king after what he did to their family. Shockingly, in the mansion, Frankenstein is working in Braz's lab, conducting experiments on Akim. Burroughs impatiently rings the bell and captures him using her special dispensation magic, putting a lock on his neck that prevents him from using magic anymore. Braz is not pleased with Liz because she could not buy him time for experiments. He instructs her to stay in the mansion until his return. Liz bursts into tears for letting him down. She calls Staz and informs him about Braz's arrest. She believes Fuyumi is in a dark place, making it impossible for her to locate her. While wandering the streets in search of Fuyumi, an annoying stranger takes him to the boss. Staz meets the boss of this territory, a calm snowman. Staz asks about the stranger, and Snowman confirms that he knows the guy, providing Staz with his business card. The man is a transporter with strange powers, living in one of the 7 wonders of the demon world, the Dimensional Highway, a place where no one has ever been able to go. Staz has to search for him on the streets, otherwise, he doesn't stand a chance of finding him on the Dimensional Highway. Nell has kept Fuyumi in his secret grid room. He offers Fuyumi a meal, but the owner agonizes over his lost bowl in Nell's grid room. He impels Nell to bring him the bowl or he'll call the police. While snatching the bowl back from Fuyumi, Nell accidentally pulls Fuyumi out, giving her enough time to ring the bell. Both Belle and Liz can finally trace her. Liz instantly informs the location to Staz. Nell understands the gravity of his mistake and runs to avoid being caught, but his sister Belle catches him. She asks him to release her friend Fuyumi, but she is shocked when Nell reveals that he kidnapped her friend for their mother. Staz also arrives at the location, and Belle takes matters into her own hands, allowing her brother to escape. Belle shoots Staz and captures him in her grid room. Staz opens his eyes in the grid room and begins yelling at Belle for putting Fuyumi in danger. This breaks her heart, and she is pissed off for being humiliated. Anguished, Belle challenges Staz to a fight, stating that if he wins, she will deliver him to Fuyumi herself. Belle takes Fuyumi to Hydra, and she finds this place to be much different from the rest of the demon world. Initially, Staz can't comprehend her moves, but as the fight progresses, he begins to analyze her movements and finally manages to capture her. In an attempt to escape the trap, Belle forgets her pants and backpack. Her lower half is now naked, and she can't come out to snatch the bag. Belle doesn't want Staz to find the treasure book inside the bag and know her feelings for him, so she accepts her defeat. Overwhelmed by his win, he accidentally pulls her out naked and can't hold himself from complimenting her beautifully crafted body. Embarrassed, Belle empties the gun on him, causing the vampire boy to suffer heavy blood loss. He looks very weak, but he continues the journey to save Fuyumi. Belle is heartbroken that Staz could never understand her feelings. She gives up and decides to keep her feelings hidden. Unaware of the thoughts running through Belle's mind, he still apologizes for hurting her or letting her down. Eventually, they reach the entrance of Hydra and walk inside, arguing as they always do. Memories of his father's death at the hands of Wolf Daddy wobble through his mind, as Braz is escorted to the king's palace. Chief Goal snubs Inspector Burroughs for insulting Braz and carries him inside. He ensures that there is no resentment of the past against the king in Braz's heart, and Braz confirms it. Even if he does, the collar around his neck will abstain him. On the Dimensional Highway, Nell escorts Fuyumi to his home. The height of the voyage terrifies Fuyumi, and she is frightened by the huge 3-headed dragon staring at her. She immediately wants to reach the mansion. The king enjoys golf with beautiful chicks around him, and he immediately orders everyone to leave for a secret conversation with Draz. Belle's clothes fit Fuyumi perfectly, as if they were stitched specifically for her. Nell says that their mother chose all these dresses for Belle. Staz and Belle also enter the mansion. Nell is terrified to see Staz with her, while Fuyumi is delighted to see Staz. However, he denies recognizing her until they leave this place. Belle and Staz are here as lovers, leaving Nell and Fuyumi dumbfounded upon hearing this. However, Belle explains that it's part of her plan to help Fuyumi sneak out with Staz without letting her mother know. Nain calls upon Fuyumi. She hugs her as if she was eagerly waiting for her arrival. Fuyumi thinks she knows her for a long time. The servant recognizes Staz as he knows him through Braz. Madame Nain and Braz are good friends. Chief searches through Braz's data, and he believes Braz has scripted his arrest because he wanted to see Wolf Daddy. Considering their past, this secret meeting intrigues the chief, and he wants to further dig into the matter. King insists that Staz for a golf shot. King reveals that Braz put away Akim, who went on a rampage down below, but the resemblance of Akim with this aide Pantomime bothers him. Pantomime was sent on a top-secret assignment, but he went missing. Braz confesses that he was behind the death of Pantomime, and he is here to declare war. He will soon dethrone the king. King is confident that there is no one to threaten his throne, but Braz challenges him to produce his competitor and regain the throne that once belonged to them. King accepts the challenge and allows Braz 3 days to complete the challenge. On the return, Burroughs impatiently waits for Braz to come out. Braz deceives Burroughs by pricking his finger on the nail, creating an emergency. He uses the lights out leaf on Burroughs and escapes. Seeing blood all over, the chief thinks Braz has killed Burroughs while escaping and calls for special dispensation magic, the angry spear, to hunt Draz. In deceiving Inspector Burroughs, Braz has lost a significant amount of blood, and he is now low on magic. He needs to find a place to rest. The angry spear chases him, and with its precise strike, Braz falls into the palatial city. Nain plainly rejects the idea of resurrecting Fuyumi and offers her blood instead. Staz is perplexed. He can feel a clear similarity between Fuyumi and Belle's mother. Surprising everyone in the room, Nain reveals that she is actually Fuyumi's mother as well. She narrates the event of how she met her human doppelganger in the human world at the Okonomiyaki restaurant, the place where Fuyumi's mother used to work. They saw each other and their bodies merged into one. Now she has memories of both lives. Braz calls Liz and tells her that he is being chased and that he needs his sister's help. He says they will arrive at her favorite ice cream stand in half an hour to rescue him. Liz always waits for a moment when her brother can count on her, and she is on her way to rescue him. Despite changing his appearance, the Chief's angry spear still manages to track him. Braz runs into the streets, but Chief strands him in a street. Braz is low on magic and can't resist the Chief's magic for long. He conceives a plan to manipulate the Chief and lower his anger to a point where he can counterattack. Staz feels a huge shadow building above him and is petrified to witness a three-headed dragon staring at him. It's the Hydra Head, Belle's father, and the Master of Dimensional Heights. The Hydra Head wants to adopt Fuyumi as her father is the only man he was truly afraid of. 14 years ago, when their wives merged into one, humans and demons couldn't stay together. Therefore, Nain had to choose one of them. Yanagi, Fuyumi's father, sacrificed his wife for his daughter. Here in the demon world, everyone is selfish. However, he has huge respect for Yanagi's selflessness. Hence, the master was anxious about Yanagi's daughter ever since Braz revealed his brother's desire to resurrect her. The master fears that Staz is only doing this to feed on her. Anticipating Liz's arrival at any moment, Braz reveals that the memories of his father's death still haunt him, and he wants to regain the throne. He can kill Staz here very easily, but Staz is the only hope for Fuyumi's resurrection. Master begins interrogating Staz about his stake in bringing her back to life, questioning whether he loves her or not. Staz is not sure about his feelings for her, although he has an underlying urge to feed on her blood. However, Fuyumi means much more than that to him. When Belle questions her feelings for Staz, Fuyumi also responds with uncertainty. Master breaks the microphone and disconnects communication for Fuyumi's mother. The conversation from here on will be a secret. He carries Staz to his room, where Staz is overwhelmed by human products like TV, PlayStations, and etc. The master decides to let them go if Staz can follow a few conditions. Staz is asked to swallow a dumpling made of cursing herbs, and pledge twice that he will seek Fuyumi's permission before leaving the demon world, and before sucking her blood. He will only proceed if she allows him. The master does not want Yanagi to lose his loved ones again for his family. He wants to give Fuyumi full control over her decision. Staz opens his eyes and finds Fuyumi sitting beside him in her undergarments. The chief has managed to stop Braz, but Liz appears with her blazing axe and instantly escapes her brother away. Fuyumi doesn't know how she ended up at the entrance. She was changing clothes in Belle's room, and the next moment she was sitting beside Staz. Dek, Yoshida, and Mamejiro fight to save the territory. Yoshida transforms into a deadly dinosaur and drives off the territory crushers. They have managed to save the territory in Staz's absence. Staz accuses himself of leaving Fuyumi alone in difficult times and asks for forgiveness. He offers a shirt to cover herself and questions Fuyumi if she wants to be resurrected. Fuyumi ascertains her will for resurrection. She wants to get back to her hero, her father, with numerous challenges heading their way. That includes the anime recap for Blood Lad. Let me know your thoughts, and I'm out.